Manifestors, generators, manifesting generators create a container for projectors and reflectors to walk into. So the container is already created so they don't come in there and spend their energy trying to create something. They're coming in to add their special sauce, which is big picture advice.
You're listening to Sensitive, Spiritual, and Successful, the podcast where we uncover ways to connect you back to your soul self and get you unstuck so that you can live out your full potential. I'm Jasmine Lynn, a former psychotherapist turned human design soul guide and EFT tapping success coach, and I'm here to show you how to love yourself through all your levels of growth. I know you're here because you have an impact you want to make in this world and you have a light to share, and I'm here to guide you through that journey because you deserve soul-aligned success. Hi, everyone. I have Brigitte Knight here with me, and she is one of the speakers at the Ultimate Human Design Summit. We'll just jump right in to get to know Brigitte a little bit more and her story. So I'm going to throw it over to you. Do you want to introduce yourself with your human design, just so people get a little background?
Sure. Thanks for inviting me. First of all, I'm excited to be part of the summit. I can't even tell you. So I am a 3-5 splenic projector, right angle cross of the four ways. So the word I like to use for the four ways is I pivot a lot. Right? We're going from one corner to the other all the time. So sort of changing, pivot, taking people who want to go for the ride with me. That's
Oh,
my design.
beautiful. My brother is the four ways, actually. He's a reflector, 3-5 reflector. And that
Oh,
the same.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, with the same incarnation cross.
Oh, wow. So interesting. All the permutations and combinations.
And you're speaking to another 3-5. So
I've, it's
yep.
a whole special tribe. So
It is
true.
honestly, when someone says they're a 3-5, I'm like, yes.
Right? Yeah, you get me. You get me.
Yep. And you get me, planning this summit and like doing all the things. I'm a generator though, but still with the 3-5 bumping into things, figuring things out, I'm like, I'm just doing it. We're still
You know,
moving.
honestly, like it's so funny though that in emailing back and forth, you can totally, I don't know if it's over time I've learned this, but you can totally pick up a person's design, even from the way they write emails, from the how many emails they send, what they're saying in their emails. Like I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna ground myself right now.
Yeah. The generator energy, the exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And then you being a projector, you're probably like, oh, wow. Like, and I have the four motors. I've told every speaker this. So now I understand why people say sometimes I'm a lot because I'm always like going and moving and doing and like I have to be and just
Yeah.
9 unconscious sons, so what to focus on, what to do. So yeah, I can definitely appreciate when people are like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I'm like, "I can't help it. It's just my energy."
Yes. One of the emails I sent to you, I think I said, I'm just over here pacing myself.
Yes, with your projector invites, I'm like I think I wrote back, I'm like, "I respect that. I
You
totally."
did?
Yeah, as you should be pacing
Don't you
yourself.
love that? That we could communicate without actually using the type of language that we might out if we didn't know our design, right? Like not exactly appreciating it, getting upset about it, getting frustrated by it. Well, she's going too slow. Well, she's going too fast. And, that sort of thing. Like I think just this conversation is and the reflection on how we were communicating is a reflection of why I do the work I do, which is let's learn how to communicate using human design so we have a compassion and understanding and we can come from that place and honestly ask for what we need.
Yes, without feeling ashamed, without feeling like we're not enough. Or, I said that I, sometimes feel like I'm too much. But when I explain it to people, even just saying I'm a generator, it's like, okay, like,
Right?
get it. Yeah, like I can understand where you're coming from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, beautiful. We'll jump into some questions. So I'm going to ask you, what is currently lighting you up, or what are you currently working on?
Right now I'm in the middle of rebranding and I think that was well, I was like, I put so much on. I can't believe I'm doing this summit, but that's part of the rebranding too, is I'm coming from a place of if I were to start this whole business over again, what would I do differently? So that's kind of the focus I'm using. So I'm I guess the biggest thing is changing my website from my name, BrigitteKnight.com, and moving it more into a human design centric one. So
Mhm.
it's humandesigninaction.net or hdinaction.net,
Yep.
which is also the name of my Facebook group. So that, but then behind all that comes a lot of stuff, right? So when you're like a solopreneur, solo proprietor, you have to do all the work. So it's moving stuff, closing things down, da, 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 da. But it's exciting. And when you're a projector and I've burnt out a million times, so I still have sort of I don't know, what is the word, the after effects or some of the damage from burning out. Like I still burn out faster, I think, than most people. So pacing myself through that.
Mhm.
But that's what's exciting. Like just redoing my website, redoing the landing page, redoing some of the things that I'm sending out into the world, restructuring how I do my consultations, how I do my one-to-ones. And, in the last year, I've embraced sort of talking to more people at once, sort of I never did that before because I didn't feel I was ready for that and that energy. So yeah, that's kind of lighting me up. Well, what can I do with what I've created and how can I do it better if I were about to start over again with this?
Okay. I feel like HD in action is very 3-5.
Yeah.
Like you saying that, I'm like, yes, that's
I saw your reaction. I was like, oh, she gets it, but I didn't think of the 3-5 connection.
right. It's the practical solutions and like seeing it in the material world, like let it, you know, make it make sense in life. Right. It's like that little skepticism that the 3 line has. It's like, okay, here's the information. And it's like, okay, now let me see it. Is it real? Like I have to not see it to believe it, but I have to be able to apply it to real life for me to say, "Oh yeah, this is life changing." And I went through that with human design, and then when things started to shift for me, I was like, "Okay, yeah, this is it. Like this is good
This
stuff.
is the real deal.
This is the real deal." Yeah, but I had to kind of go through my experience first before I could stand behind it almost. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you. I wrote down what you said, like make it make sense in life because yeah, I am the type of person who I have these ideas in my head and I can't find the words. It takes me a while to find all the words to explain it in a nice, succinct way. So I actually asked people, okay, this is my idea. Give me some words. And you just gave me some great words, which is
Yeah.
make it make sense. I love that. We're
Yay.
going to
Well,
use that.
we're
I'll give you
wonderful.
credit too.
Wonderful. All right. Now, how did you get into human design or how did human design find you?
Let's see. I don't know what it is about that question. How did human design find you? That just so irritates me. It's not you, because you did not invent that word,
Yep.
that sentence. But how did I get into human design? How did it find me? Let me not be. Yes. So
We love it. It's all right. It's okay. I accept you as you are. It's all good.
well, that's one of the benefits of having learned my human design is like, this is it right here.
Which I love. I'm here for it. Say what you need to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do say controversial things too, even from a, human design standpoint, and it's like and it's an experiment, I'm just to see what gonna happen. So, how I got into human design was after I mentioned I just have burnt out spectacularly over the years, and I was originally working as a nurse, an intensive care nurse, and hustling and doing all the exciting things in nursing and just couldn't get out of bed eventually just got really, really sick with it. So I had to sort of slow down on my nursing and ended up doing a job that wasn't as demanding. So I was working in a dermatology office and one of my clients, we're doing the dermatology stuff and there's lots of time to talk. And she just said to me, something, something human design. I was like, well, what is that? And she shared and gave me my chart and gave me this little cheat sheet with it. And I was like, "Oh my god, are you joking? I am not designed to hustle. I don't have unlimited energy. I'm work Are you kidding?" And it was like, I always knew this, but didn't have the language or words or or the acceptance in the world. What does that mean? You're just fragile. You're depressed. You're this, and I'm like, no, this is accurate, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just someone speaking up who I don't even know if we knew each other that well at that point, but she just felt motivated to share, you know? And when you get excited about human design, I do think you become a little like a little evangelical. Right. You just
100%.
right? Yeah, so that's the short story of that. Yeah, and I just went from there. Karen Curry Parker had started teaching, I think, that year. So that was 2006, actually.
Okay.
And yeah, I took her beginning class that she had. It was like a year. It wasn't very expensive and just learned all the things. And one of her things was, yeah, go out and tell people about it. And she sort of taught us how to sort of set up a little thing. And that was my first website back then. It was called humandesignisHot.com. And
Nice. I love it.
and, yeah, it just took off from there. So I've been doing it ever since, but off and on, and adjusted a few things along the way, and then here I am adjusting again.
Yep. I feel like it's just part of the whole experience of finding what works, finding what doesn't, and kind of moving your business and your life in that direction. So, like I
Yeah,
said, I get it. I totally get it.
35 thing, you look back and go, "Oh, there it is, there it is, there it is."
Yeah. Now, do you have an are you motorized as a projector?
I have one Wii motor. It's called what's the Will Center, the Ego Center.
Okay. Everyone I've interviewed so far for the summit has the ego center defined. It is so funny because I've never connected with so many ego centers. I just feel like also that's a level of where people get each other. We're all talking through our defined egos here. It's okay. Please
People
talk
say
about
that?
it.
You don't mean to sound egotistical?
I said it, and then someone else I was just speaking to was like, "I don't wanna sound like it's, like, too much," but I'm like, "Defined egos and the conditioning with the defined ego."
Oh, wow. I don't know, maybe I haven't noticed. I just talk. I just
Okay, I need to know your centers. So you have the ego center defined,
Oh,
and
okay, so let's go top down,
yeah,
right? So I have the defined head center, the defined ajna. I have the throat center as well defined, and then I have the ego center, and I have the root center, and I have the splenic, right? So I do not have an identity center or the G center. I don't have an emotional center, and I don't have a sacral obviously.
right, but
As
pretty defined as a projector. Yeah.
Yeah, but, all of that hustle culture that I had in my backstory burnt out the will center because I didn't have the emotional center to pull from. I didn't have the sacral center. I didn't, and then direction. It's like, well, where do I put my energy? What do I do? I don't know what I'm doing half the time. Oh, I'm hanging out with this person. Let me do what they're doing, kind of thing. Right.
Right.
So, definitely when you have one little motor like that, you fry it. So I can't even really count on it to give me
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have the attitude of the defined will center that's been deconditioned.
I haven't I will follow your way.
Right?
Right, yes. Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, that's my design.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I just get so curious, and so when you
Oh, of
broke it
course.
down for me, I'm like, "Okay, this is good." I'm glad I can kinda see it, and it is the theme with everybody having a defined ego so far is, like, hilarious to me. So we'll see all the other speakers when I interview them and, kinda get to know them, what they have, but so far,
Wow.
5 people have had
That
the
is so I
defined
wonder what
ego.
we need oh, I'd love to know what brought us all together, like, what it is. Anyway,
Yeah.
carry on.
Let's maybe you guys saw the value in the summit and you're like, "Let's go, Jazz." I have the 3740. That's what defines me.
Ah, okay, what do I have there? I have none of that.
No,
So
that's there you go. I'm bringing everyone together. It's like, I feel very lit up by having and like that I have an undefined identity center. So it's like the belongingness. It's like, oh, now I can put myself out there in the human design world and connect with all these wonderful people, talk about human design. I dreamed about talking about human design with people who are into it because here I am in my
Yeah,
household being like the only person and I don't have a lot of friends who are super into it. So to have created this for myself where I can interview and talk about human design and centers and profile lines, I'm like, this is where I'm meant to be right now. Like,
this is so cool. What is your profile or
so
your
I
like
so I'm a 3-5 emotional generator. So I've got an head, undefined ajna, defined throat. I have the 1648 from my spleen. Um,
undefined identity center, sacral. Obviously, I've got the 952 format channel. And then I have defined root and defined ego, defined emotional solar plexus.
So you're pretty defined too,
Yeah.
except for, like, more of the upper
Up, yeah, and I'm
core.
triple split, so that's probably why.
There's yeah, yeah.
You know, a little here, little there, a little
We
everywhere.
got you, don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll make you whole.
Right. Yes, exactly. All right, we'll keep going. It's so hard not to just get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will ask you, how has human design changed the relationship you have with yourself?
Well, in so many ways, so many ways. I think when I first learned human design, I was also on a pretty big transition from growing up in a world where you conform. You have to be like this, you have to say this, you have to do this and be like everyone else. It was like that, culturally, because my background is Jamaican and that background is very British and very proper and so forth, right? And then growing up in a family that was half Jehovah's Witness and half not. So it was a really kind of interesting conform and try to fit in kind of thing. So getting confused about when you don't have an open identity center, it's like, well, who are you exactly? And who do you listen to? And where do it was a really weird and strange thing to grow up in. So once I got out of that environment, it was figuring out who I was. And that was challenging because the identity center now doesn't have anything to glom onto. And I don't have a sacral. My whole family has sacrals, all of these things, right? So when human design found me, I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, when human
But we have it's been influenced.
it's yeah, oh, I hate when that happens, but anyway,
We can
wait,
edit that out. No.
you can leave it in, it's part of the process,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, when I learned human design, it gave me structure. It was like I am rebuilding an identity or creating an identity that's mine, right? So, first came was it the artist way? Yeah, first was the artist way, which was a program about deliberate creation, spiritual creation, really, getting into self and like, what do you want? And so that was a beginning of structuring my work life, right? And then a year later, I found human design, and that was this is who you are. Now add that to the structure. And that was kind of like these building blocks that helped me realize, well, you aren't designed to run around like all the generators. So are you cool with that? And I was like, more than cool with that because I need to rest. So that was the original, I love this thing. And that's how it helped me be gentle with myself. And then invitations and really settling into that and getting real about, well, what does that mean? Well, you can't talk as much as you normally do. And and that took years to settle into you are much more powerful when you're not speaking. I mean, even up till now, I am like, there's power in a projector who is quiet. And that was like changing that relationship with myself again. Well, if I'm not speaking or if I'm not out there and putting myself forward and pushing, no one's going to notice me. I'm not going to get anywhere. Not going to be valued. I'm not going to be, all the things that are sometimes very subconscious thoughts and beliefs, right? So I think that that's a few ways that I can think of that human design changed that relationship with myself.
All right. So, what are you most proud of when you reflect back on your journey?
Um, I think I'm most proud of with respect to human design is like the stick to itiveness is the word I would think of. Like I really glommed onto it as almost like a lifeline, a life raft in a way, because I was really not well at the time, like really struggling to get out of bed and so forth, right? So for me, it really was a lifeline at the beginning and that I've never forgotten that. And I just was like determined to survive. And it was what it was. So never giving up, persevering. And I do have that gate 29, which is like, don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going
I
under.
I'm persevering. I love it.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I'm really proud of that, and I have to tell you that for the longest time, I never knew what even now, I still have to look at my chart sometimes because I was never the person that was into, "Well, what gate, what this, what that." It was like, "Oh, is that the concept? Cool, I'm down with that." Never really memorize or anything was, right? So there's years where I'm like, "I'm really determined." Is that in my chart? Oh my god.
Yeah.
So it's like really leaning into those things now.
Yeah. It sounds like you can see things within yourself and you accept it. Like, oh, yeah, this is really part of who I am now that I've done the deconditioning. And then you go back to the chart and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. I do feel that. So it's like you feel it first before you let the chart inform you almost.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it because there's that section or part of the community where if you don't know every little detail in it and you can't speak to all the little technical pieces and all that, like there are people who are really into that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we're still humans and sometimes it's a judgment. You don't know that? You don't know that? Oh my God, you don't know that? And I'm like, I don't need to know that to
Yes.
live my design. And I'm really glad that you do know it because you can teach me stuff and get me excited now. Maybe because now I have the brain space for it. Now that I've deconditioned enough and I'm healthier, my brain's really open to that extra.
Mhm.
And that's okay too,
Mhm. Yes.
right?
I I think I don't know, I really relate to what you're saying. So, I'm writing a book for Human Design Press, the Tapping by Design, and same concept. It's more about when someone reads the chart, whether or not they even see themselves in it, and it's like and then so what I do is use tapping to look at the beliefs you hold about how you feel about it. Because if you're reading about your human design and you're like, "That no way that could be me," or "That's not possible for me." Well, that's a good first step to start deconditioning that. You don't need to know your gates and all the channels and how it all runs. It's like even just that little bit of information to move you forward to say, okay, no, it is possible. Because I know as a generator, I did not think it was possible to be so satisfied in my work. But I remember reading that little part and thinking, I don't think that's possible. And I worked on tapping through it. Maybe it is possible. What would that look like? I don't know how it's going to happen. But at least that gave me enough I don't know, momentum or something to believe that good things were on its way and I could keep going and trying to decondition and live into my design. So that's just like the very basics and like profile lines. There's so much in profile lines, right?
Mhm.
Again, you don't need to know the the ins and out of everything. It's like, well, how are you putting it in real life? Are you just consuming? And I have the gate 48 of depth. So I know that insecurity of like, I don't know enough. I don't know enough. I need more courses. And then I looked at it and I said, I'm a 3-5. I'm just here to universalize information, live it, experiment, teach it, share it. That's it. I don't need, I'm not, not going in the intricacies of everything. I don't know.
No, that's exactly it. Just really articulate it in a way that when someone has a fixed head like I do, like a defined head, Najna needs to hear as well. Because remember, I said to you earlier, I don't have all the words. I have the thought, I have the words. And that's exactly it. I needed an open head to define it in a different way that I could hear exactly what I believe and think
Mhm.
in different words,
Yes.
which I will go back and use and absolutely swipe later on.
Go ahead. You know what? This recording will be in our calendar meet. So, like our version. So, seriously, go back, listen to it. If you don't have it, I can send it to you. But yeah, like I'm happy to. I love hearing your thoughts, and then when I reflect it back, the way that I have taken it
Well,
in, it's
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for a long time, I used to attract a lot of undefined heads into my work. Lately, it's like totally flipped, and I'm attracting defined heads and working on teaching them how to free their mind.
Mm,
Whereas before, I'm working with all these open heads and helping them kind of ground a little bit, you know? So I've had all of these wonderful experiences that help me go, oh, that's how that works. So that's how that works. And that's what excites me.
me
You know, I
too.
don't need to know every little thing. I just am
Yeah.
like, "Oh, look at what's happening over there."
Yeah, the real life examples when you can see design, like their design, I don't know, being lived out. And it's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
You can
Okay,
see, well, human design in action, right?
that's it. You know what? I think we need to have another I wanna know more about a defined heads experience. So we may have to bring you back on so we can like go through the centers of what it's like to have a defined head, defined ajna, because I don't have that, right?
Oh my gosh, sure.
Yeah.
Wait.
So more collaborating. Well, we'll wait when you're not so too busy, and when the invitation comes, you can let me know. But that door is always open if you ever want to like chat about
Oh,
human
no,
design if
no,
you
you're
like.
right. Let me tell you a little bit about the my pet peeve in human design is the generator projector relationship. I just learned the most amazing thing from a manifestor the other day. I don't know if I've heard it before, but not said this way, right? This manifestor has a projector daughter, and it's just the two of them working together and living together, right? Mom's 40 something, daughter's like 26. So they're working together, living together. And the projector said one day, the daughter said, you know, what's really amazing about this relationship is my mom, the manifestor, creates these things, these containers, thinks them out, plans the thing. We got this big whiteboard and we do all the things. And then she invites me in to do what I do, like fit my piece in as the tech person, or as that's how they work together.
Okay.
And she broke it down further. She said, manifestors, generators, manifesting generators create a container for projectors and reflectors to walk into. So the container is already created so they don't come in there and spend their energy trying to create something. They're coming in to add their special sauce, which is big picture advice,
Mhm.
right? And 18 years later, I'm just hearing this, but it makes so much sense. That's why I'm like tired all the time because I'm trying to create stuff.
Mm.
Right? So if you look at the relationship we're having now, you as a generator have responded to something and created this thing that you said, "Hey, projector, can you come in here and offer your 2 cents?" And it's like, "What do you need from me?" This, this. Okay, let me see if do I have to create anything new? Oh my god, I don't. I have this. I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just here for it, right?
Mhm.
And that's what lights a projector up when they can just come in and not be doing all the work, but just adding their specialty, their skills, their talents. And I just wanted to share that as you were saying, the invitation's here. And I'm like, no, build something, invite me. And
Yes. Okay. Hey, you know what? There, that's something to respond to. We're onto something. We'll definitely be in touch later, I'm sure.
I'll be waiting by the phone for your
Yes,
invitation.
I will create the space and
Absolutely. Just this podcast is a space,
yeah.
that I've realized, wait a minute, people have made podcasts that I can walk into and say a thing or two, and then I can reciprocate as I build my group as well, right? And I'm like, "Oh, that feels so good as a projector."
Yes. Amazing. Okay, I think we have maybe 1 or 2 questions left, and then, I'll get you to tell people where to, connect with you. So, I'll say, what is a piece of advice you have for coaches and practitioners who are building their business?
Oh, another pet peeve of mine, and the biggest piece of advice that I have for people who are stepping out into their human design business is, number 1, make sure that you're not quitting your day job or giving up on your source of income thinking this is just gonna be an overnight success, because starting a business never is. We always see the front facing, the storefront. We don't see what went on in the back and how many years it took, right? So number 1, make sure that you're supported as you do this. And then number 2, recognize that building a business takes time. It can take months for some people, can take years for others, and neither is wrong. It's again, your design. Are you a person who learns by doing and has to fumble a couple times to get it right for you? Or are you a different design, which is like bing, 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 bang, it's done, right? And also making sure that if you're hiring a coach, and it's not a bad idea to get a business coach, but make sure it's somebody who actually knows how to start a business. They may have started a few in the past. They have an outline for you. This is what you need first. This is what you need second. These are the numbers we need to pay attention to. And we're going to guide you through these basic things. So human design business coaching sounds great, but does the person have business coaching as a foundation that they've added human design to?
Mhm.
right? And if they've just learned their human design last week, they don't even know themselves very well, much less how to guide you. And then on top of that, if they don't have practical business starting experience, hello, I mean, hello.
Mhm. No, give it to them, Brigitte. It's very true, right? You learn your human design, and how many times it's like, okay, now I'm going to just start teaching it where you haven't even embodied it. And you come from a therapist background as well,
I
right?
do. Yes.
Yeah. So that's my background. And so when you look at deconditioning, we probably, know the whole psychology, and maybe as a third line, I don't know if you can relate to this, but when you learn something, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna try that first. I'm gonna try this technique. I'm gonna try it on me first and see," right? And so
Yeah.
you kinda go through your own deconditioning, and then when you find human design, or when I found human design, it was more like, "Okay, but now how many people are just reading their design and not actually doing that inner work that we know so well when you work with clients, in the therapy session?" It's like, actually, this takes a lot of work to come back to your authentic self. I've
Yep.
processed a lot of trauma, and, like, when you look at your human design and you look at your story or your experiences, sometimes that is a trauma story that you actually have to you can't just, "Oh, my human design just says this, and that was my experience, and it's all good." It's like, no, it's still in the body. It's still gotta go through that, right? So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we could go on for days because, my thing about the chart is, yeah, sometimes we're in the chart and sometimes we're off the chart. It's not all the answers aren't there. There are things that we do need to, and I may not be the coach for you in this particular area. Just recognizing that it's a powerful piece
Mm.
of our deconditioning and possibly for some people. Right? And it's one of the reasons I don't do straight therapy anymore. Again, the line 3, it's like it became so uncomfortable because it was like, "I need you to know this thing about yourself so we can have real conversations."
Right? And they put you in a box, like, when you were registered and licensed? Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, because well, I'm gonna speak from the training. I went through amazing training here, right? Like, it was just so social justice oriented, and it was just stuff I would never have been exposed to otherwise, so that was exciting to have that freedom. But then if you are a couple and you're coming to me, one of you I know for sure is a manifestor and one of you is a projector, and you're having communication problems, and I am stuck talking to you from a certain approach or modality or whatever in the psych world,
Yeah, yeah, I
under
get
that
it.
hat. But I also know that projectors need to talk their heads off to understand what's up, and manifestors are like, "Why are you talking to me? Why have you already done fixed your problem?" And I'm like, "I can't deal with all this chatter." So they're in here with communicate he doesn't listen, she doesn't listen, she's talking too much. I'm like, I would just like to tell you that you're manifested, you're not designed to do that, and she's a projector, she has to do that.
Mhm.
So, let's talk about a different solution. Maybe you're not the one she needs to be talking to. Would that work? But
Mhm.
that would solve a lot, and it would cut down on years of therapy, lots of money, and the system isn't built for that, right? So, we could
You
go on.
you are speaking my language. That's exactly it. It's like if we could just look at the chart, talk about it, look at what needs to be processed to kinda work through that, or other modalities that can help people work through whatever unhelpful thinking style or whatever stuff
Yeah,
it is.
all of that, they go
All of that.
together, it's
They
not
do.
but anyway, and maybe it's just up to you and other 3, 5 people in this industry that, will move the needle forward. That's how you start a movement, right?
That's very true, and that inspired me. Just you hearing that, I had in my journal the other day, I was reading a book, and this man at Stanford, I think it was, or some university, no, John Hopkins University. He did a course on astrology. He was a psych teacher, did a course on astrology, and he taught that as a class, helping people understand themselves through that lens. And I'm like, I would love to do that. That would be really cool if I could bring human design into a university level psych understanding. So I did write that down. I mean, it seems like a very lofty goal for myself, but you know,
You just start small. You just start teaching it to a bunch of curious therapists and
True.
You never know. You're like, start some, I don't know. We could talk, but
Which,
there's, you know,
oh, yes.
you know, that's a lofty goal, but you've got to practice too, right? So
Yeah.
start somewhere kind of small, running it by a few people and hone your speech, your TED Talk.
Mm, see, this is why I love having these calls with everybody. We'll do one last question and then we'll wrap up here. So, what do you hope those you teach or work with could better understand about you?
You know, like part of the work that I and again, you spoke about, you know, how's it changed my relationship with myself is I've just owned the parts of my chart that are they're gifts and they have a purpose in the right space and when they're asked for,
Mhm.
right? When they're not asked for, they can be like you've been like slapped upside the head. Like I know that about my chart. Right?
Yeah.
So what I do with my clients is I'm very big on did what I say I could tell from your reaction. I could, you know, I saw you, you know, how did that hit you? Like, I'm totally into tell me how I just affected you.
Mm.
And it'll take 2 or 3 questions, me asking that before they feel comfortable to say, well, that was a little much, or that was, you know, very direct. Like they use very polite terms to tell me that I've really shaken them in some way. And eventually when they get there, I'm like so excited about that because again, it's done something that we love to see in our therapy world, right? Someone being able to step into difficult things. And at the same time, it's like, dude, you if I can do that and be open and take whatever you're gonna say, I want you to take that and mirror that in the world.
Mhm.
Right. So knowing that I am not an open book per se, but I am open to this experiment that I'm offering to you, which is communicating, relating using our human design and understanding each other. I won't know what you're feeling or what's going on with you if you don't tell me,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, no, I won't die. My favorite expression with people is, yes, it's hard and you won't die.
Mm.
And then when they do it, it's like, and you didn't die, did you? But it's like, I don't know how to boil that down. Do you have words for that? Again, I have a thought and I
I,
don't have the words.
I think, I don't know.
What is it I want them to know? I don't know what that is. Like,
I think what you want them to know, and again, you can correct me, is that you are open to feedback, you are open to suggestions, you are open to other people, how they've perceived your interaction, and you're open to hearing about it and changing or communicating in a way that allows people to feel comfortable enough to say, hey, you know what? I didn't receive that well, or I did receive that really well. Again, I really resonate with what you're saying with that, because that's what I say to my therapy clients. I want you to learn how to speak up because this is where the relational stuff, this is where we do the work. And like you said, I want you to be able to take it out in the world. So I'm going to be that safe person. I always tell clients, like, just tell me to shut up if it's like too much. Just tell me if I'm explaining things and it doesn't make any sense, or it's not something you wanna talk about or hear right now. Like, just give it to me. I don't care. This is great. Like, I applaud you for that. So when you said that, I'm like, we're on the same
yeah,
wavelength again, right?
it takes courage to be able to get to that point.
Mhm.
You know, and so I still don't know what it is I want them to know, but I guess that it's possible to reach that place. You know, a lot of people, when they come to human design, I've learned from them that their hangups are the same. You know, I don't know what people are going to think of me. I would rather, you know, be a people pleaser. I would rather not know. It's too scary to know. I'm going to feel bad. I'm going to cry. I'm going to yell at them. That's going to be a big emotional explosion. And I'm like, well, you take the power back by saying, hey, I can be a bit much sometimes, right? Like you said.
Yep, that's
And I
it.
can say, "Yeah, my voice can sound pretty directive sometimes. So how did that hit you? Like, did that was that too much for you?" If you can tell me, and also I talk a lot, so I can tell from your face when I've overstepped the meter, you know, like I've gone on too long. But if I've lost you before that, just say, "Hey, can we move on to something else?" I won't die. I'll probably laugh.
Yeah. Yes.
You
I
know,
think
so that's kind of the comfort I want to communicate to people, but I honestly, I don't know if this is the answer that is correct for your thoughts.
you know what? I think it's beautiful the way that you're explaining who you are as a person, that you're just open. You just want people to know that you're open to feedback, open to communicating and having that relational dialogue. You are, like you said, you're not going to die if somebody tells you something. You are a warm and comforting person to have those conversations with so that they can develop the skills to do that every day in their life. So, just to sum that up, I think that's a beautiful way to describe a part of who you are, is that you're just open to that. So, thank you.
Well, thank you for doing that for me. This is why I need this
Yes.
compliment of
Yes.
the chart, right? Sum it up
Absolutely.
for me, Jazz.
Right. And I'm here. I'll do my best. So I will ask another question. How can people connect with you, find you, and get involved in your world? I know that they are going to love your presentation at the Ultimate Human Design Summit. So let's give them how to kind of connect with you in the meantime.
Well, they can still find me at BrigitteKnight.com. So that's BrigitteKnight.com. You can still find me there and come chat with me. Let's have like a one-on-one. I have like a consultation opportunity for 30 minutes. And I also have this really fun group that I called Collective Conversations with Human Design. And it's literally where we come and practice our human design and talk about it every 2 weeks. What are we doing? What are we working on? How's it going? I'm a generator and I'm having this problem with a manifestor, any manifestors in the group. And it's this dialogue back and forth kind of thing of learning from each other. Well, what's it like to be a so and so, and what's it like to be a so and so? So, if anyone's interested in learning more about that, if they want to see if they're a good fit for that, they can come. BrigitteKnight.com is still rocking and rolling.
Awesome.
And yeah, I'd love to meet anybody that's excited to take their human design on that kind of journey. I'm all for it.
Yay. Okay, that's perfect. I'll probably be joining that group. I didn't know you had that group. So I will be there too. And because it's real life stuff, right? I want to hear it. I want to see it. I want to examine it and research it. So I love that. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for being a part of the summit.
So, well, thank you for having me. This was fun. This was fun.
And that's it for today's episode. Please share it with anyone else who wants to learn more about human design or anyone who may be on their personal growth and spiritual development journey. You can DM me on Instagram to talk about what resonated with you, what you learned about yourself. I love hearing about human design in real life. So I really appreciate those conversations. And if you would like, you can leave a comment, a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. That support means the world. Thank you so much for listening. I know time is a valuable currency. Take care.